lovely sparkly lights are all in the back of my car, and I haven't got my car back yet. So we've got the lights, unfortunately, just tonight. We'll just wait for Gary. And so welcome, Marie. So Katrina, Amanda, Alishka, Alex, Gary. So it's always nice to welcome someone. And anything that is not for you, you'll know. Downward dogs are not for you, I doubt, at the moment. No. Yeah. So some people practice downward facing dogs right up to the end of pregnancy, but they've maybe been doing yoga for years. There's a tendency to invert baby. So, right, so welcome. Make sure you're warm tonight. So I started this off and I read something this morning and it was quite a nice thing. And it said it was about the capacity to be curious about life. And it was about the breath and how it was always the center of everything. And so that kind of inspired my practices tonight with the breath in power yoga and the breath tonight. So what we're going to do, you can do this seated, and you can use the wall if it's not too cold as well, Ishka, behind you, or you can come down onto your backs, which is why I just got my blanket out. So we're going to come to a constructive rest pose on our back. So by doing that, so Lishka, I'll join you in a minute. So by doing that, we're really feeling the feet connecting and the knees connecting. So the feet are going to come. So you can do this by just sitting as well, but make sure you're comfy. The rug gives a little extra warmth to you. Hi, Rachel. It's nice to see you tonight. We're just starting. So we're going to come down to the mat, or even if you're sitting in butterfly, Lishka, if butterfly's comfy, and put some pillows to, you've got a couple of pillows or one pillow. Do you want another one? Do you want a cushioned? There we are. So that just props your knees evenly, and then it won't sit happier like that. So we're going to start. So coming into that constructive rest pose, or butterfly if you're upright, I want you to really feel the points where the body is connecting with the earth. I want you to feel the soles of the feet. Maybe where the hands are. Maybe feeling that length of the spine. And then I want you to notice your breath. I want you to notice where that breath is starting from. And I want you to start to think of the breath as releasing and relaxing. So I want you to think of it as that kind of deepening of the breath. And then bring the start of your breath into your diaphragm. So that space just below the ribs where it's all protected. You can always put a hand there if you want to. And I want you to inhale and feel that expansion. Feeling that diaphragm expand, that real deep breath. And that exhalation, that release. Not holding breath, not playing with breath. So this is fine for yourself as well, Alishka, that real awareness of that deep breath. And just allowing us to breathe right into the bottom of our lungs. And the little quote that I started off with is actually, once we start to be able to give ourselves space ourselves, that then we have that capacity to be curious about life. And this constructive rest pose is very much about drawing the threads of the body together. It's the feet flat on the floor, or if you're in butterfly, that connection of the feet. It's the lower back, it's soothing. Heels softening. And whatever pose we're in, it's that opening, the stillness, and attention. Now let that breath just become an inhale and an exhale. Just going to support our practice all the way through tonight. And as you're just taking a moment, just aware of any points of tension in the body. And then very gently, if you're in constructive rest pose, you're going to take a moment just maybe to sway the knees side to side into a little supine twist. Just start to move the body, allowing yourself, when you're ready, just to turn and come up all the way back. And if you're in butterfly already, that gentle twist, or as you're doing, you can do a little seated cat-cow just to move the shoulders. And bringing yourself back up to seated. So everything we do tonight, I want you to think about the points of contact and that feeling of grounding, and that feeling of that breath. Now, Alishka, you've been in butterfly, so you may wish to come into a seated pose, or in fact, I'll tell you what, we'll come to deer. Everyone's going to come to deer. So in deer, I'm going to keep one leg, whichever way you start, we'll do equal. I'm going to bring one leg with the shin across the front. And I'm going to connect. So this is about connection. I'm going to connect, if it's comfy for you, bless you. I'm going to connect that foot with the thigh. If it's not comfy for you and it feels a bit pinched in the hips, you can just release that leg out and back a bit. But if not, just bring that kind of length to the spine here and the leg back. Now, in deer, you might just be absolutely fine here. We can take this a couple of ways. This is like yin. It's like now we can all go off on different tangents depending on what you want to do. So you may have a bolster. My bolster is in the back of my car still. Haven't got the car. So you may wish to come down. Now you can come forwards into this pose. You can rest hands and forehead. You can take this to a twist. And you can actually walk. This is sometimes I'm feeling this is quite nice already. So you can sometimes take this to a side twist. Lishka, this is probably not, you don't think Babe's going to allow you to do this anyway. So you can come down and you can rest Or if you've got cushions, you can stack them underneath you and you can come to a place where that's comfy. If you're happy coming off your mat, keeping this pose upright, or you might just soften and support with your hands. And actually you can get quite a nice kind of support across the lower back here. Wherever you are, just allowing the body to relax and to release. And that breath becomes a soft inhale and exhale. A soft Ujjayi breath maybe. That inhale, that relaxing breath. The exhale, the release. If you're in a side twist, gently start moving yourself back up to a more upright deer. And maybe just supporting yourself here at the front. We're going to play with this breath again. We're going to think about the inhale as an inhale that goes down all the way down our spine to our sacrum, and the exhale that comes all the way up from our sacrum to our heart space and exhales. Okay, so it's a visual breath. So an inhale, that inhale's going all the way down the spine. So you kind of have to get used to it. So it's filling up. So our body's filling up, and you can feel that air expanding the whole torso so that you can feel it all the way towards the lower back. It takes a little bit of work. And the exhale, push that breath all the way to the heart space. So what I'm trying to encourage in tonight's practice is the use of the whole breath. We only use a percentage of our lung capacity. And just by taking a moment and learning that breath, it's really good for cold water dipping as well. If you've been swimming or dipping, don't look like that. If you've been dipping, it's just that proper allowing that breath to slow. I've been dipping every morning. I give you not as long as Amanda swims for, but it was short this morning. Pardon? 10 minutes. That's good. And then just allow that breath in the body just to relax. And we're going to come very gently to the other side. Now remember, in Yin, if you start to feel a pinching sensation, or you start to feel that uncomfortable, kind of not happy, that's when we back off. Okay, so we just release the pose. So if I'm still chatting and you're like, this is getting a bit, I can feel my leg going dead, just ease the pose. because we get to something that we call an edge in the yin, and that's when our body's saying that's enough, and we're just going to gently ease off and soften. So one side might feel different to the other. Mine certainly does. And just find that connection. So find that connection with, maybe it's the sides of the legs, maybe it's the sides of the feet, and then find a place where you're comfy. So that might be that you come forwards and you allow a stretch forwards, or it might be keeping upright. Yeah, use as many pillows as you need to prop yourself upright, or to the side. And just allow that breath, the inhale, relaxing into the pose, the exhale, releasing into the pose. Maybe practicing a little bit of that inhaling all the way down the body, exhaling into the heart space, or just working with a soft yin breath. At any point, if you're starting to feel that you need to move, please do. And then when you're ready to come to a more upright position, start to practice, when you're ready, that breath, the inhaling, feeling the whole body expand, and that exhaling, drawing that breath all the way up to the heart space. So inhaling, just nice, deep, slow breath. So we're not holding the breath at all. Otherwise, I'd be saying, Lishka, not to do this. We're just playing with really slow, using that focus on the breath, which is, I think, so important for everybody. Feeling that broadness across the chest. And we're going to transition in a minute to a child's pose. Now I'm offering, if you want a little bit of hands-on, just support, then I know some of you are okay with that. If you don't want any hands-on assist, then please just say as I come round and you can just tell me. But when we come to child's pose, we're going to really be conscious of maintaining as much physical contact between the hips and the heels. However, there's always a however, if you've got any lower back issues, then you can bring this pose up higher. So we've got lots of variations with child's pose. Knees wide is one variation, and lower back issues, then if I've got height forwards, I need height to my head as well. So I'm only pointing this out because obviously I've been to an osteopath in the last week, so not yoga related. So that allows me just to soften a little bit. Now, if you've got any knee issues, then bringing that blanket behind your knees will soften the knees and give you a little bit of support between the hips and the heels, so that we've got that conscious connection between the two. If you find it quite difficult to get the hips back, Lishka, you're going to bring yourself up with as much space as possible. And if it's not for you, you'll know. But you should be okay with like bolsters on your chest, just supporting, but we're not, and very nice big wide knees with toes together. And if it's not, use my bolster. If it's from home, so it's fine. Just use it, it's fine. So bring height into your child's pose. And Gareth, if you want to use cushions on your head, so just to support, you can do. So coming into a nice place where you are comfy with your child's pose. And then just allow yourself to just breathe. And again, that breath. So this is a breath that goes into the whole of the back, the whole. So you're inhaling and feeling the breath into the sides of the body, into the back of the body, just allowing yourself to release, relax the breath. Just coming over to you, Katrina. I'm just gonna, so just allowing just a little bit of support. Okay with adjust, Maria? I didn't ask you if you're okay. Yeah, okay, sorry. The softness of the breath. Just allowing yourself to sink into the pose. Gently drawing yourself all the way up when you're ready, really stretching through, maybe straightening the arms out, allowing yourself to come up the way, allowing yourself maybe to roll the shoulders, to move the body if you come up to a gentle, just bringing a bit of movement into the twist. We're going to come to a melting heart pose. Now, melting heart pose in Yin is very similar to the puppy pose, but we're not going to bring both arms out in front of us, and we're not pushing our chest towards the mat. So it's a gentle. Now, melting heart, you can put props underneath your chest. I would very much encourage you to bring the blanket to the knees. So important. I'm actually quite liking the fluffy blanket. I might keep this one for my yoga practice. I nicked it off the sofa, but hey ho. The knees underneath the hips. So we're stacking the knees underneath the hips, okay? So rug is important just to soften the knees. And our thighs are vertical. So that's why our hips are just stacked. So we've got that nice stacking. And you can keep a bolster. If you've got a spare bolster or cushion or a weight or a jacket, you can actually put it over the back of your thighs. It's quite a nice thing to do. Just to give a little bit of weight. Some people use sandbags in Yin. So it's really wonderful. So weighted bags. So just literally bean bags, but bigger bean bags. And they, like a weighted blanket, they give that just extra feeling. Oh, it's lovely. Honestly, it's amazing. So if I see you bringing sandbags to class, I'll know you're down at the beach. And then what we're going to do, we're going to either use an eye pillow, or we're going to bring one hand across. Now, here you can start to pad things underneath your chest if you've got lots of cushions. And this is not about bringing the chest all the way down. In puppy pose, we really arch and push through the back. This is just about giving ourselves space in our shoulders, space in our heart space. A little stretch through that lower back. Just allowing yourself to melt the heart, literally. And just encouraging that grounding. It's not a pose we're going to stay in for huge amounts of time. Again, giving yourself space to breathe here. And when you're ready, just swapping arms so that we practice the same amount of time on one side as the other. If you're feeling that the front of the feet are not grounding for you, and you're feeling like that they're kind of floating a bit, you can just tuck the toes gently just to feel a little bit more connection with the earth. Drawing yourself, we transition from yin poses very slowly. I always like the opportunity of taking a wee kind of cat stretch, tucking the chin in, allowing the body to come into a gentle cow, seated cat cow. So you're bringing a little movement with the yin yoga. Two options now. So, and most of you might want to come onto your backs. Lishka, if you're not comfortable on your back, I'm going to give you options. There's two options here, depending on what you want to do. I'm going to use the first, and I'm going to show you it's for the lower back. So it's a bit of back love. So I'm going to take my blanket, and I'm not going to have it rolled too high. So it's kind of a couple of inches. And when I come down to the mat, we've got options. So you can bring this is really good for the SI joints. You can bring this to your lower back and you can allow yourself. So it's like almost, I'm going to kick my iPad here. It's a little bit like a supported bridge, but it's slightly lower. So if you bring it just underneath the hips, and allow yourself space in the hips here. It might be that you also need support under your knees slightly. If your blanket's a bit higher, mine's quite squidgy. And that just allows the front body to open and it allows you to give some space and some symmetry. If it's not for you, then the other option on your back is this, is rolling your blanket so it's a bit more like a yoga mat shape. It's like origami tonight. So little yoga mat shape. And then placing it behind your neck when you come down here and just allowing a bit of love for the shoulders and the neck, and the legs can either outstretch or they can come to that constructive rest pose. Now, if you're upright, then I would very much suggest either you've got a few things. We've got half butterfly we can play with. If you want an active pose, we've got malasana. So you can play with a little bit of a squat here, a little bit of an active pose, moving around, moving the hips if you want to come up and off the mat. You can use the bolster as well to actually sit. You can use like a little, you can sit in the bolster if you want to, or borrow a block. So there's lots of different options for you. Find something that's comfy. If you're not going to stay in malasana as long as everybody's got themselves into these kind of back poses, then we can come always into this little pose where we just give the hips a bit of love. You can use this. I'm not going to lean on the heater, but you can use this wall as well. Lots of options. So wherever you are, just allowing the body to feel like the front is opening. Are you comfy with that? Just allowing a little extra stretch. Just allowing the shoulders gently to relax as well. Just gently come to the shoulders. Any point, if you want to move the rug from the lower back to behind the neck, you're very welcome to. I'm just coming to the shoulders now. Bless you, you're comfy there. Squeaky floor, can't creep up on anybody. Just coming to the shoulders, Gary. Allowing those to relax. Into the shoulders, Alex. Oh, a moth. Hello, moth. Butterfly, butterfly. It's a butterfly. Oh dear, poor butterfly. And then if you're just in that kind of back release pose, it's going to take a really slow transition. What I want you to do is I want you to gently either roll to your side or to move yourself. And we're going to come back very slowly, even if you pause on your side as if you're moving from Shavasana. Coming all the way to your side. And then just pausing and coming back all the way. And we're going to come up into a little hero's pose. So this is an interesting pose for some. It's a bit like Marmite. So we'll see if we can unpick it a little bit. Now, if you've got a bolster or cushion, then that's great. So there's some variations. So any knee issues, you can skip this one and you can just come into Sukhasana if it's not for you. What I'm doing is, there's options here. I'm sitting just into my heels and I'm not using anything. But for me, that's not brilliantly comfy. Yeah, do have your flasks and have a wee drink while I'm going off on one. So normally with my big bolster I've got, I actually sit on the bolster and then I bring my feet out. Now this is not as high, so you might need a cushion, a couple of cushions. And that allows me to bring height into this. Okay. Some people like to bring, and doesn't suit me, they like to bring their big toes together and then sit into their little feet. Now it's quite comfy if my ankle wasn't as it is, actually, but not for everyone. But some people like that. Some people really can't stand the hero pose at all, and it's just not for them. And that's absolutely fine. And if that's the case, find yourself your blanket and bring, so we've got a little pelvic tilt into this, seated, and bring yourself into butterfly. If that kind of hero pose is not for your needs. So there's lots of choices. We have a poor butterfly with us, which means it's not going to last very long, is it, in this weather? So wherever you are, the hero pose is quite an upright one. It's a really nice one for the breath. And you can just soften the feet. You don't even need to sit on the heels. If you've got this kind of bolster, you can, it's like sitting on a wee hobby horse and being a little child again. So, so you can just allow yourself with that spine upright. So what we're going to do is just come back to that breath. Come back to that elongated spine. And remember that we started with that release and that relaxing breath. So the inhale and the exhale with the relax and the release. And hopefully what you're starting to do, if you practice this as well, it might be really natural for you, is you're not reverse breathing. So reverse breathing is when we inhale and we draw our core in, and we exhale and we push our belly out. It's something that's really, really common when we just breathe. And so what we need to think about is actually that deeper breath, which is that inhale and that expansion of the core and the belly, the chest and the rib. So it's like a balloon, filling ourselves with air, and that exhale. But just allow your breath to do what it wants to do sometimes too. Yeah, I was going to say, if it's a Marmite pose. There's only so many yin poses, and we can mix them about a bit, and we can do lots of things with bolsters, and some of them are just not for people, and that's fine. There's always an alternative. How are we doing for time? Because I could just do another hour. And this pose, wherever you are, if it's a seated pose, come back to that conscious maintaining that physical contact, that grounding. So conscious, especially when we're in a more symmetrical pose, of evenness. It's one shoulder kind of tighter than the other. And gently we're going to bring ourselves forward. So you might want to bring your blanket. We're going to come into just a dragon pose. You might want to bring the blanket just underneath you, underneath the knees. And there's always time when we come forwards for just a little sway of the hips. And maybe just bringing a little bit of yang into our yin while we're here. Just that circling, so moving the shoulder blades, moving the hips, that moving cat-cow. And then we're going to bring our right foot forwards. So to the outside edge of the mat, so really gently. And if you've got blocks with you, there's my block gone, or you can bring a little bit of height into this pose. Now, again, you've got options here. You can step the back knee so that it just is more of a quad stretch. So you're in a different place in your knee. If you've got a bolster, you can tuck it just, or a cushion in front of that leg, and it gives you more contact. And contact is a nice thing in yin. So now with this pose, lots of places you can go. It might be for you today that you want to come down and bring this rolling onto the side of the foot, giving your hips space. It might be that's where you want to be. It might be that you just roll onto the side of the foot and bring this into a slightly twisted dragon. So you're taking your body towards your knees slightly. Lots and lots of different options here. Your body sometimes tells you what it wants to do. I normally like the twisted variation, but this is great tonight. So again, this is quite, it's one of the yang of the yin poses. So if you start to feel that edge, if you start to feel, oh, I'm not keen on that stretch, we come into the counter pose, which is child's pose. So if you're here and you're like, yeah, I'm breathing into this, but I'm going to take a stretch back. The child's pose, bringing the knees together, the traditional balasana, allowing yourself to sink. And even the hands coming to connect with the soles of the feet is a really grounding place to be. So you choose whether you want to stay working in dragon and then moving to child's pose whenever you want. And if you've got then that balance, it's about balancing one side to the other. So spending the same time on each side. So plenty of time to play. So wherever you are, working on the other side or taking your time in child's pose. I'm just going to do a wee shout out for my lovely new osteopath, Mandy and Och. If you have any issues with your back, oh my goodness me, she's incredible. She's from South Africa and she's been practicing for years and years and years, and she's amazing. And I went to her the other day and she's just, you know, she's like, if you fall on the ice, you need to just go and see an osteopath. They'll put your back, or, you know, after pregnancy. She's just incredible. So yes, they are. We shout out for Mandy and Och. And then you'll know when you're ready to move back to that child's pose. And it might even be that it's a cat-cow that you come into, or it might be that you come into that really traditional balasana pose where you tuck hands, or even just hands to the side of the body, forehead down, and the palms of the hands all the way up. So totally up to you where you are. Just allowing, just clunk, she steps on the floorboard that's loose. Just allowing just a moment. Just another few breaths. And then slowly rising up, we're going to bring ourselves to a final relaxation pose. Now, we started off with constructive rest, so it's actually quite a nice one to do. But if you want to come to seated meditation, then to spend longer in seated meditation upright, then use a blanket just to lift the pelvis slightly forward. So you're sitting on either a bolster or blanket or blocks. Or you can come down into Shavasana. I would suggest putting hats and gloves and anything else on just for a few minutes because it's getting cold. Blankets on or over or wherever. And the other thing in a Yin Shavasana is supporting the back of the knees as well. So if you're in Shavasana, you can put blanket behind the back of the knees, and then, or best of all, bolster, and allow the knees to splay out slightly so they're supported. So we come into a slightly different Shavasana in Yin Yoga. You can have a very thin pillow or blanket behind your head, allowing a little bit of padding. If you really, really enjoyed the back release with the neck roll, you can add something under the neck. So you'll start to bring lots and lots of blankets to class. So, and if you have an eye pillow as well, if you're in Shavasana, then please do use that too. So wherever you are, just making yourself as comfy as possible. If you're in Shavasana, or if you're in seated meditation, rocking your neck or your head side to side, adjusting your palms. Maybe they're gently into the body, maybe the palms face upwards, the fingers naturally curled, gently closing the eyes. Just adjusting if you're feeling any discomfort at all. And allow your attention to be on a smooth, slow, serene flow of the breath. And taking that thought process of the relaxing and the release a little further. The exhale, cleansing, relaxing. The inhale, nourishing and energizing. And as you concentrate on that slow breath, just allow the attention to turn inward. And just pausing just to scan your body from head to toe and back again. Just aware of any tension in the body. Sometimes we don't really know it's there until we slow our breath, just taking a moment. And if you discover any tension, use the breath just to Push that breath towards that part of the body. Allowing the breath just to be natural. Bringing the attention back to the yoga mat, back to the body. Back to the room. Start to just slowly move the hands. Start to slowly move the toes if you're in Shavasana. And allow yourself that time just to move the body, roll the neck, bring yourself gently onto your side when you're ready. And very, very slowly start to make that journey back upright, but do please take your time. And when you come all the way up back to seated, take a movement that suits. That might be just a gentle twist side to side. It might be a lift, stretch all the way up to the sky, and then a stretch all the way forwards. Bringing the hands gently back to the knees, back to Anjali Mudra with an inhale and an exhale. Thank you for joining class tonight. Take your time. So, it was lovely to see you, Rachel, online. I'll let you just chill and I shall see you later this week. And I sent you a wee message, so no rush at all. I'll just stop the recording. Take your time, please. There we are.